Let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever found the perfect company to reach out to, only to spend the next 30 minutes trying to figure out who actually works there? You find a website, you find a company, everything looks promising. Then you realize you have no idea who makes the buying decisions. You don't know who the owner is. You don't know who the sales manager is. You don't know who the operations manager is. And now you're stuck. The truth is, most people don't struggle with finding companies. They struggle with finding the right people inside those companies. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to find emails and decision makers in minutes instead of hours. So if you're in sales, lead generation, recruiting, marketing, or business development, this could save you a lot of time and help you generate more opportunities. Why most prospecting fails? One of the biggest mistakes I see is that people focus too much on companies and not enough on contacts. Companies don't buy products. People buy products. People approve budgets. People make decisions. People schedule meetings. That's why finding the right contact is so important. A few months ago, I was helping someone build a prospect list. They had over 500 companies they wanted to target. Sounds great, right? The problem was they didn't have a single decision maker attached to those companies. They had a huge list, but nobody to actually contact. That's more common than you think. Let's say you want to sell software to a manufacturing company. Sending an email to info@company.com probably isn't going to get you far. The person reading that inbox may have nothing to do with purchasing software. Instead, you need to find the person who actually owns the problem you're trying to solve. Maybe it's the operations manager. Maybe it's the engineering manager. Maybe it's the owner. Maybe it's the plant manager. The faster you can identify those decision makers, the faster you can start real conversations. And that's where data enrichment becomes incredibly valuable. Not long ago, building a prospect list was extremely time consuming. You would start with Google, then you would visit the company website, then you'd search LinkedIn, then you'd guess email formats, then you try to verify emails, then you put everything into a spreadsheet. And after all that work, you might have a handful of contacts. I remember talking to a business owner who told me he spent almost an entire Saturday building a list of prospects. 8 hours later, he had fewer than 40 contacts. That's an entire workday gone before he even sent the first email. The problem isn't that it works. The problem is that it takes forever. Today, there are much faster ways to build targeted prospect lists. Instead of spending hours researching every company manually, you can use data enrichment tools to help uncover contacts, company information, and business emails much faster. That means less time researching and more time talking to potential customers. That's what actually grows revenue. So what exactly is data enrichment? The easiest way to think about it is this. Imagine I give you a spreadsheet with 100 company names, but it's incomplete. Now imagine I take those same 100 companies and add owners' names, the operations manager, the purchasing manager, company size, website information, and business emails. Now you have something much more valuable. That's data enrichment. You're taking basic information and turning it into actionable sales intelligence. Instead of having a list of businesses, you now have a list of people you can actually contact. And that's huge because opportunities don't come from company names. They come from conversations with real people. Let me show you a simple example. Let's say I want to target manufacturing companies. I already have a list of company names and websites. That's a great start, but it's not enough. I still need contacts. I still need decision makers. I still need emails. Using a data enrichment platform, I can take those company records and quickly identify key people inside the organization. Maybe I find the president. Maybe I find the operations manager. Maybe I find the engineering manager. A few weeks ago, I was researching companies in a niche industrial industry. At first, I only had company names. After enriching the data, I found multiple decision makers at each company. Suddenly, I wasn't looking at 20 prospects anymore. I was looking at 80 potential conversations. Now, instead of having one company record, I have multiple opportunities inside that same business. And that's where things start to get powerful. Because every additional contact increases your chances of starting a conversation. Most sales opportunities don't happen because you found a company. They happen because you found the right person. Let me share a few mistakes that I see all the time. The first mistake is relying on generic email addresses. Things like info@sales@support. Sometimes those work. Most of the time they don't. The second mistake is targeting the wrong department. You might have the right company, but the wrong contact. But if you're talking to the wrong person, your message usually goes nowhere. I recently saw someone complain online that cold email doesn't work anymore. After looking closer, they were emailing generic inboxes and customer service departments. The issue wasn't cold email. The issue was targeting. The third mistake is only finding one contact. Most companies have multiple decision makers involved in purchasing decisions. That's why I always recommend identifying several relevant contacts whenever possible. That gives you more opportunities and more ways to start meaningful conversations. Better data leads to better outcomes. Better contacts, better conversations, better meetings, better opportunities. Many businesses think they have a lead generation problem. In reality, they often have a data problem. I can't tell you how many times I heard someone say my outreach isn't working. Then after a quick review, it turns out they're simply reaching the wrong people. If you're reaching out to the wrong people, even the best cold email won't produce great results. When you combine accurate contact data with strong message, everything becomes easier. Your response rates improve, your pipeline grows, and your prospecting becomes much more efficient. That's why data quality matters so much in modern B2B sales and lead generation. Now, if you're spending hours trying to find emails and decision makers manually, there are much faster ways to do it. The goal isn't to replace good prospecting. The goal is to remove busy work so you can focus on building relationships and creating opportunities. One of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years is that time is your most valuable asset. If you can save hours every week on research, that's more time you can spend talking to prospects, booking meetings, and growing your business. If you'd like to see how data enrichment works and how you can work company names into qualified leads in minutes, check out the link below. I think you'll be surprised by how much time it can save and how much easier it can make your prospecting process. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.